So, we have our first filming images from Series 13, and not many people expect these to come out this soon, or at all, seeing as due to what's currently going on, people thought it'd be a lot hard to get filming images, but here we are, so I'm not going to go on any longer and just let's talk about them. So obviously these are filming images, these aren't the highest quality things in the universe. They are fairly low quality as it goes, but there is a lot we can decipher from them. So this first one here, it just seems there's members of the crew, maybe some members of the cast, just in this Welsh countryside place, and it's filled up with smoke, it's very wet, kind of looks like a battlefield, so this could tie in with the Crimean War stuff we've been hearing about sort of last week. And that would mean this was in the block filmed by Lee Haven-Jones, and this is seeming like it's either going to be episode 1 or 2. If I had to guess, I would say episode 2, as it's very rare that series openers are historicals, but I think if it is episode 1, it would be really unique to start with a historical. But I don't know how it would work, especially seeing as we think this might be a celebrity historical with Mary Seacole. If this is a series opener, I don't particularly know how well this would work, but this is very interesting nonetheless, and looks like some sort of war zone, or this could be completely unrelated to that. Another thing worth noting is even though this picture is blurry, there is a lot of information we can get out of it. Obviously you can see the TARDIS there in its police box shape. Now there was a rumour going around the internet, and lots of news companies reported on this, saying that the TARDIS was going to be changing from police box to something else. This 100% confirms that's not the case. I never really thought that rumour was true anyway, and it's kind of weird that news articles reported on it. But yeah, this confirms that the TARDIS will be returning in some sort of police box shape, or in the police box shape, not some sort of. And it also confirms that I had a theory they might be travelling by vortex manipulator this series to get back to their TARDIS, but this means that's not the case, and it will just be back to the Doctor and co flying around in the TARDIS. Now, from these images, we can't really see any of the cast, so we don't know if Mandip Gill's there, potentially John Barrowman could be there. We don't really know anything. It just seems like some crew on some sort of war zone with smoke, and the TARDIS is there. And then the next picture is very interesting. It's of some sort of wooden hut. Kind of reminds me of the place that was in It Takes You Away, but this obviously definitely isn't the same hut. A lot of people have made a comparison, and I can sort of see where they're coming from with this, that this could be the Master's TARDIS, which we saw in Spyfall Parts 1 and Parts 2, which was disguised as a wooden hut when it was in the outback in Australia, and it stayed that way throughout the remainder of Parts 1 and Part 2. So we don't know whether the Master Chameleon circuit was stuck. From the Doctor's lines in the episode, it seemed like you could change it at will, so he might just be keeping it like that. But this does look very similar to that, though I don't think it is, but it does look extremely similar, but I think it's a slightly different shape. But it is fun to theorise about it. And this also does tie into something later on, which I'll get to when we get to it. But this kind of looks like a historical building, and I think it's pretty much apparent at this point that this is some sort of historical episode. The next image we have here is of what looks to be the crew building some sort of alien-looking metal frame thing. Looks like some sort of alien spaceship. Kind of reminds me of the spaceship from Ascension of the Cybermen, where they all fly off in, but I doubt it would be the same spaceship. Obviously, I think this is just some sort of new spaceship that they are constructing to film around. There are also these sort of half-sphere things that are like red netting. I don't know whether they're actually part of the set or they're just there and they're going to be removed afterwards, or whether they act as some sort of tracking markers for CGI or whatever. But this also confirms this will have some sort of alien presence in it, but seeing as this is a Doctor Who story, that is to be expected anyway. And then we have a video. It's not a very long video, and again, it's not very high quality, but it's still quite interesting. It seems like it's at night, so whether this is intended to be a night shoot or a day shoot, and this has just been taken at night. But this looks really interesting. It's just a zoom in on the TARDIS. It's surrounded by smoke. It's in the same location, or it looks like it is in the same location. And the windows are lit up, and the lamp at the top's lit up, and it looks really nice. This looks like it was some really nice filming here from the person, and it would look even better on the actual cameras. But yeah, nothing much we can decipher about this. But it's just a fun little video. Maybe the smoke could be coming from the TARDIS as opposed to around the TARDIS. Just maybe something's wrong with the TARDIS, but it's most likely it's just that's how they're doing the location. And the member of the public overheard some of the lines in the episode, so there are a few interesting ones here. So there's an explosion, and then Jodie Whittaker says they were retreating, and a man in Imperial costume replied, "I lost too." And the woman says, "We thank you, whoever you are," and Jodie replies saying it was done. Now, obviously, it doesn't sound like one fluent conversation. This sounds like bits of conversation that this person heard. Now, what's interesting about this is the line, "I lost two." Now, this could just be a generic person from the past saying, "I lost two" for some reason or another, or, as lots of people have said, it could be the Master talking about his TARDIS, about the chameleon circuit not being able to change, whether they're coming in with a theory about the hut being the Master TARDIS. Again, I don't think so. It would be interesting, and we do know this Master likes dressing up in period costume whenever he's travelling through time, so having him being in period costume saying this makes sense. It's also the sort of thing the Master would say if he found something new out about, like, the Timeless Child or something, and confronts the Doctor with it. But again, I must reiterate, this probably isn't the Master, this is just fun theorising. And according to the same member of the public who took these pictures, there were some men sitting under a tent with very Stormtrooper-esque bottom halves on. He couldn't see the top, they had bubble wrap covered around them, and they were very dirty with their Stormtrooper-esque armour type thing on. Now, again, this is very interesting. A lot of people have theorised that these sort of armour things, Stormtrooper-esque things, tying in with the whole Crimean War thing, war story, could potentially be a new batch of Sontarans, which would be really cool. Now, there's obviously some sort of reason that the top half of them is covered up by bubble wrap. Last year, we saw something similar with the Cybermen when they were filming with Cybermen. They were wrapped with blankets, so members of the public couldn't clearly see the costumes. The only thing that gave away that these were, in fact, Cybermen and not medieval knights was the fact that they had arm guns, so maybe they're being a bit more careful this time around. Or this could just be some weird production thing they do to keep the actors warm or something like that, I don't know. And that's all we have today. Tell me what you think down in the comment section below. Is this exciting news for you, and are you looking forward to Series 13? In the meantime, I've been Cyberman Alf, and from me for now, it's a goodbye.